If I'm being completely honest, building a luxury glamping pod was never a dream of mine. But this behind me was my dream project.
Over 18 months ago, I battled and submitted plans to my local planning department to build a lake in the field behind my house. I was told it wasn't possible by various pond experts as I didn't have a natural water source for the lake. However, this was never going to stop me achieving my dreams, and I'd seen many people overcome challenges online. And somehow, after spending over £20,000 on planning permission, I finally got the green tick and a grant to officially begin the project.
And 12 months ago to this day, about right there, I excavated the first bucket load with a digger.
We rolled in the big machinery and excavated an area nearly an acre, bucket by bucket, load by load. And eventually, I had a large clay hole in my field that was ready to fill up with water. Over the autumn, we filled the lake up with water, and it took over 6 weeks from a combination of hoses, lorries and a mains pipe. After a successful shopping trip, we unloaded hundreds of reeds, which we planted on the marginal shelf running around the lake. And once they were in, that meant that we could bring the water up a bit more to its final finished height. But then I had a massive algae bloom caused by the water being so fresh. This meant I had to take evasive action, so I decided to dye the lake blue. This dye acted like a pair of sunglasses for the water, but it did make it look a little bit like the mouldings. And everyone online seemed to love the blue dye. I also then installed an aerator to provide oxygen into the water, and a short while later the water was then in perfect condition. Christmas then came early, and I stocked my first 37 carp into my lake, which was a significant milestone.
Expensive fish.
And in the last video on Kev's pool, you watched us fix an ongoing leak by repairing it along this bank.
And we even repaired my banks, making them look exactly how I wanted them. The dream of having my own fishery was finally coming together.
But during all of the videos on Kev's pool, you may have noticed that something else was being built in the background. Welcome to the official accommodation for Kev's pool, my luxury supersized glamping pod.
That's right, ever since I started building the lake, Project Glamping Pod has been quietly ticking away in the background. You might have actually seen it in the background of videos like our 24-hour fishing challenge, with me saying that I couldn't sleep in the lodge due to the fact they were insulating it.
Within about 2 minutes, my eyes start to itch.
So the first thing that we had to do was pick a spot. We've already done that during the planning permission phase, and that was the lower left-hand corner of the lake. With only one lodge being built on my venue, I wanted it to be able to access all of the water and not look directly at our home. That's why I thought that this spot in the lower southwestern part of the field was perfect. The first stage of getting the lodge built was to build a concrete pad foundation base. We used steel shutters and mesh for rigidity. We installed a damp-proof layer and then poured concrete to create the finished pad. But once those bits were done and allowed time to dry and settle, it was finally time to order my building. Now, before deciding to go for a glamping pod, I had actually tried to apply for a rectangular glass-fronted building that came in a kit form that I found online. This was inspired by a visit that I made to Jackie's pool, which was also in an earlier video. The owner Lee had built a fantastic lodge out of 2 old Asda lorry containers that he converted. I loved the shape and the glass frontage and wanted to do something similar.
But in the pre-planning application, the planners said no. But they did say that a glamping pod would be okay.
Yeah, boy.
So I got on the hunt for a glamping pod and found loads of different options online, some being pre-built units and some being kit forms. Costing around 6,000 quid plus VAT, I thought this was the perfect option and allowed anglers similar floor space to other luxury cabins around the UK. So I got one ordered, and a few weeks later it arrived.
So believe it or not, I'm actually rather handy on one of these JCB things, or I seem to think that I am. So I've got to move these 3 pallets over to the space where the glamping pod is being built, because Vince is coming tomorrow to start Project Glamping Pod. Project Glamping Pod begins. Wait!
Stop. Drive back, that's really annoying.
That's right, Mr. Carpentry was the only man to call for the job. And we always work so well together.
Back.
Oh, we have penetration!
Hey, other one, give me a handle.
I'm so confused. Bought in one go. Wait, now he wants me to pull his hand.
With the kit building now at the lodge, it was time to get all the pieces laid out on the floor and organised. And it went up easy. One frame section at a time, we used the numbers as an easy guide, and within 2 days, the entire frame was up.
Get out of the way.
A membrane was then stapled in place over the frame, and then thin ply sheets were curved around the frame and screwed into place.
Can you explain to me what you're doing, please?
I'm going to mark a piece of wood with a tape measure and a pencil.
Wooden battens were then cut using the saw and screwed into the ply. These were added to allow us to fit the shingle roof tiles, and the gap in between allows the roof to be able to breathe. It was then a race to get them all on before the rain came, but it was at least warm.
It is the middle of February, but it's around about 15 degrees. It's ridiculous how much it's warmed up.
The lads were working right into the evening to get the roof on, and making sure that they had plenty of energy to concentrate, especially while on the roof, had to be a priority.
And while Vince tries not to fall off the roof, let me tell you about this week's video sponsor, Holy. I have something for you to try. See, if you're like the boys and rely on energy drinks throughout the day for a booster, or simply just for hydration, then listen up, because Holy is actually the first real alternative to unhealthy energy drinks. You know,
That's good.
he's alright, isn't it? Then how exactly does it work? Well, in a nutshell, Holy ditches sugar, taurine and anything artificial in favour of 100% natural fruit flavours and colours to give you a great tasting caffeine drink that's super low in calories. I drink. And Holy not only gives you long-lasting focus, it's also packed full of vitamins too. I genuinely don't promote stuff that I don't actually use myself, and I love having one of these when I'm walking around the lake and genuinely love the taste. To mix, just put 1 sachet in water and give it a good shake. My current favourite flavour is the white peach, especially in the late afternoon when I get my tiredness fog come over me, to help us plough through and get on with the jobs. Once more, Holy is super affordable too, and if you're still not convinced, just go and check out their thousands of reviews. So to get yourself started with Holy, make sure that you click the link in the description to take you to get one of these amazing starter sets, which gets you a Holy bottle and 14 sachets of different flavours to have a try with. Or alternatively, have a look through their site and pick something that you will like. Remember, these are only 80p for 1 serving of these drinks compared to what you normally spend in your local shop. Cheers, Holy!
So the following day, the boys carried on getting the roof tiles on, and a familiar face to the channel had arrived to begin another phase of the project: landscaping.
We have Kevin from Liquid Landscapes, who is currently working on all of the landscaping in front of the lodge, creating the patio, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the swim at the front of the lodge.
Now, a swim is the term used for an area of the lakeside designated for anglers to fish on. As I grew up on linear fisheries, fishing swims that look like this, I decided I wanted one that looked similar and reminded me of my youth.
This is where we're going to carve out an area for anglers to be able to easily fish from. And actually, it's a little bit bigger than we initially thought we were going to have to make it. We'll have an essential step down into the peg, right in front of where the doors are from the lodge, because you can imagine if you fish, you'll know that running out from that bedroom at the back of there to 2 sets of rods there, screaming off in the middle of the night, you want a nice straight journey. It allows a bit of space on the left to have a peg with a swim there, fishing rods, and a space on the right to have the rods there too. We've also allowed an area for fish photos to be able to be taken for a weigh sling, nets, scales, all that kind of thing over on this side with a backdrop of trees that we're planting against the fence there.
We had to make sure that we adhered to the strict design plans, but the first job Kevin had was getting the drainage sorted around the lodge. See, with such a big curved roof, we had to make sure that all the rainwater would have somewhere to go. So Kevin created drainage channels to capture the water either side of the lodge and buried pipes in shingle channels to get the water down to the lake.
So here is the end of one of the edges of the French drain. There's one here, and there's one just over there, and I'll take you around to show you. And here is the other side of the French drain. So I thought I'd try and tell you, but basically how kind of a French drain works. There is a type 1 material kind of on top, but underneath there is a pipe with the membrane around it, and then this pea shingle around that, so it allows the water to go to the pipe, which is in here somewhere, and then there's more membrane around it, so no mud or anything can go in there and then potentially clog the drain at a later date. So we've already seen it with the heavy rain that we've had. The water's come off the roof. All right, the roof isn't actually quite finished yet, but the water comes off the roof, down into the French drain, and straight out to the lake.
So drainage work was complete on the swim, and the lads in the lodge were flying.
We've actually spotted Bigfoot. He's working by the lake today. Really mystical beast.
Vince and Dan were now in the dry and working on the walls on the front and back and the floor of the lodge.
Let me take you inside the very noisy lodge today, where Mr. Vincent James Carpentry and Dan the Bellyman are cracking on with some work. Now, in most glamping pods and shepherd huts, they're actually built really similar to sheds. However, what we're doing here is not going to be like that at all. It's more spec'd, just like you'd maybe find a house. And to do that, I'm going to show you some of the build-up that we currently have. Between the frame of the bottom of the glamping pod, we're putting 50mm Celotex. This is really good and really expensive insulation. On top of that, we have something called Superfoil. Well, it's actually just like an insulating foil, looks like a space blanket. And then on top of that goes our chipboard. And on top of the chipboard will be our final floor. I think we're going to go for a wooden vinyl flooring in here, but all of that together will mean that the lodge is going to be a lot warmer than what it normally would be if you just bought a standard glamping pod with no insulation.
And Kevin had been cracking on outside, removing dirt from the peg, adding the wooden sleepers and bringing up lots of type 1 to create the first layer for the underneath of the swim and for the paving area.
Then we actually have two different things happening at once today. Not only do we have Vince and Dan inside the lodge putting everything together, but we also have Kevin from Liquid Landscapes cracking on with the area outside the front of the lodge. Now, in a previous video, we mentioned that we wanted this fishery to be disabled access friendly, and the comments were so supportive of that. But there was also the comments, rightly so, criticising a few of the things we were maybe planning on doing to make that happen. Some of the materials we were going to use in the peg, and we've taken that all on board to make sure that we get this right. So, we've added on the top layer here, because we know that wheelchair users won't be able to get down into the front of the swim where the gravel is going to be. We're not going to use the rubber car tyre stuff. We're going to use proper gravel and stone and make it look lovely down there. So what we've done is in the paving area up here, we've just added on this little jetty to the side, which is wide enough for wheelchair access down to the front. This is going to be made of porcelain, the same as the upper material up here. And we're going to make sure that we put a nice little rail on the front to stop any wheelchairs going over into what is quite a deep corner. Now, to get the area to this, I did some whackering. Which I was absolutely fantastic at. How do I do this then?
Just round the side, look. Not quite as powerful as your cars, but hold on tight.
If the fish didn't know about this before, they will do now. How do I get it to stop? Right. But in all seriousness, I didn't do a lot of that. This area took 30 tonnes of Type 1 MOT. 30 tonnes. We were having it delivered all the way down by the gates where we could reverse a lorry in a straight line. Then after that, Kevin would use my JCB to bring it up all the way up to the lodge, dump it in small chunks, and then wheelbarrow it out into the area, spreading it over with a rake. At that point, once it was spread, we could begin to whacker it. But where the ground has been so wet for the last couple of months, it's just continued to go down and down and down. And it's amazing how much we've actually ended up using.
So peg area prepped, we were now ready to start paving the area the following day. All of the sleepers were in, and Kevin had even created some stunning curves around the areas that we were going to be planting up.
You looking after everybody today on site?
Well, I hope so, yes.
Mr. Carpentry and his assistant now had the floor down in the lodge, and we were now ready to start putting the stunning bifold doors in.
Smash!
And the start of some of the internal walls.
Is a stud wall.
And what is a stud wall?
A stud wall is a combination of timber and screws.
So this is going to be where the bar is, correct? So on the actual plan, inside the lodge, this is what is going to be happening. Towards the back, where Vincent James Carpentry currently is, that is bedroom number 2. On the right of where Vincent James Carpentry is, we're going for a sort of open bedroom theme, so that if somebody's rods goes out of the main angler during the night, they're able just to get up and run straight out the doors out to their rods. The stud work that Steve is currently stood by is actually going to be a dining breakfast bar area, of which on the other side is going to be our lounge. This is where the sofa is going to go in a right-hand shape in the corner here. Looking over to where the curved TV is going to be in this corner. In this area here, just a little bit further up from that, is where all the plumbing comes up, is where our kitchen is going to be. And the area marked out on the floor is where our bathroom is going to be. I'm not sure if it's quite going to accommodate creatures like that over there, but we'll certainly do our best.
I then headed off down to the gates as something else had arrived.
Behind me now is actually the next part of the project. We have our paving, and what is strange, this actually used to be our previous business. We're staying with them to bring you the slabs for this project. Hopefully the weather holds out. Let's get them unloaded, see what we've got, and crack on, we're getting it laid. Many items like this usually get delivered on pallets via a little lorry getting wheeled across on the ground. However, when you have slabs this big, 1200s by 900s I believe, they weigh quite a lot and the pallets are normally over a ton. Therefore, you have to make sure that you ask for something called a crane delivery vehicle. These are all the little bits you've got to think about when having stuff delivered to the fishery for the project, because getting off a whole load of slabs on the little wheeled pallet truck, not ideal. So I'm glad Paystone have got the tools to be able to get these delivered correctly. Just flying the drone right by Mum. She stood over there by the lake.
Back up at the lodge, the swim had now been filled with gravel. The boys had been using insulation to line the curved walls and had also lined it with an insulating foil, and they were all ready onto the cladding. I was ready to lend a hand with the paving that was beginning the following day.
Not happy. Dying a little bit. Just a little bit, but I'm ready to do manual labour.
So how do you attach the grabo to it now? Ah, I see. So I used to do this for years, but I used to not do it, if you know what I mean.
Just make sure the grabo's in the middle, and then it's just the green button.
Right,
suction.
so I put the grabo in the middle.
Yeah, suction
I've already
on.
got it on my hands. Oh, look at that!
Just leave it running. Bearing in mind, if you touch that, you'll release it.
Oh, really?
So just leave it running.
Is that now on it?
Yep. And then you that'll take all the weight.
It comes off now, it's going to break my toe.
It won't come off. It right now.
Kev, how the f am I supposed to do this?
Pick your end up. Just pick it up. It's all right. Then we got to find the marks.
Would you say that I did that?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have these slabs today if it wasn't for Paystone. They've kindly provided me with this 20mm outdoor porcelain paving. Now Paystone has a huge range of different landscaping materials, from walling products to porcelain, whether it be outdoor or indoor. They also do sandstone, limestone, different types of concrete and much, much more. Make sure you check out their website, link is in the description, to see where your local stockist is and go and have a look at upgrading your space, because when this is done, it's going to look incredible.
The paving was flying down, and by the end of the day it looked awesome. And it was just in time too, as something else was arriving a few days later.
Today is hot tub day and I'm stood out on our main road. Otherwise people tend to miss us, waiting for the guys to arrive with our new hot tub. Here we are, we've managed to get the hot tub right up as close to the lodge as we can currently get it, just because there's the last few bits from where we're doing the porcelain and all the rest of it in front. But it's now time to get it off and get it on the spot. How far we come today, boys?
From Liverpool, so what, 4 hours?
Oh, we can tell that, can't we?
He's come from further though.
Oh, has he?
Come from further.
I'm going Leeds.
No man, try the Caribbean.
Where's that?
I come from Barbados.
Oh, did you hear about the fight in the chip shop?
No.
2 fish got battered.
I always wondered how these things were delivered, but it literally is just a case of manhandling them as much as possible. Onto basically a sled, which you're now going to then pull over to where the lodge is, yeah?
Pretty much, yeah.
See, I'd have had no idea. Has anyone else ever seen that done before?
It's known as a tub tugger.
A tub tugger.
Yeah.
That's going to get me demonetised.
I've just put the extension cable on in case anybody wanted to do anything on the electrical sides.
Look, it's on a sled.
Oh wow!
We've basically though, we've sort of got an obstacle course for the guys to get round at the minute.
Help you.
Oh my dear,
Oh, bless.
She likes helping, she likes getting involved.
Does she?
Yeah, right, we've got this step there, lads.
Carriages.
Oh my goodness! That's amazing.
Ready, yeah?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, go. Now we on.
Nearly on, nearly on. Ah, we're on.
Sweats it all off.
It's because you're the kiddie. I would have had no idea. You could have asked me 100 times how you'd move a hot tub over it, and I was genuinely fascinated. Je ne sais quoi.
See you later.
The lads from the hot tub guys then helped get all of our accessories on, and the area was done. So there we are then, we have a complete lodge. All we've got to do is finishing off furnishing it inside, making it look pretty, and outside the paving supplied by Paystone, the porcelain tiles, are looking fantastic that Kevin from Liquid Landscapes laid. The hot tub supplied by the hot tub guys is nearly ready to get bubbling away and for people to come and stay. Not quite yet. And the swim at the front is looking exactly how I wanted it to, and we've already caught some amazing carp from it. So a massive thank you goes to all of those guys and to Holy Energy for keeping us all energized. All that's left for me to say is thank you to every single one of you for supporting the channel. Please remember to leave a like under today's video and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really genuinely does help us. So thank you for watching this video. We look forward to showing you part 2 of the lodge build, finishing it all off, and we will see you soon. Cheers. Some girl said she wanted to follow me on Instagram yesterday, but she didn't because she'd like to go out for dinner, but the fish stuff gives her the ick. So I'm not sure how good all this is.